Hey, all, my name's Bryant Young.
Hey, and Derek Chaney.
Here with the Decent Dads Podcast. Brand new episode this week.
That's right. We was finally able to get this guy scheduled on the podcast.
Terrence has been waiting for months.
Patiently waiting.
Unfortunately, the guys that asked him to be on the podcast are very bad at scheduling, and he's been waiting for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, but he did not disappoint.
No,
And,
God, you guys, I think you guys are really going to like this one.
Yeah, agreed, man. He has like such a unique perspective on, parenthood and just, his upbringing towards, how he's raising his kids as well, too. Loved hearing his story. Again, his perspective. I mean, he was full of all kinds of good stuff.
Oh, yeah. Good insights, fun stories. And I think we even got him to read a dad joke. And I think it was probably the best one of the night. So way to go, Terrence.
It was good.
It was good. So without further ado, I think we'll just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
Decent Dads Podcast. Here we go. Good evening, folks, and welcome back to the Decent Dads Podcast. We're here to tell dad jokes, drink coffee, and build a community of dads navigating fatherhood together. I'm Bryant Young, fearless leader, co-host, girl dad, and your friendly local insurance agent based out of Springfield, Missouri. And now, before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome, he's a 6'3" sophomore benched shooting guard from small town Missouri. He wishes he was a first-team All-American, but instead, he's the coolest co-host with the most, a fantastic father of two, and the home loan expert. Folks, put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Derek Chaney. How are you, Derek?
Can we replace benched with on the IR?
IR, sure. Yeah, whatever.
Geez,
I definitely know sports terms. That's definitely something that I know.
Making me sound like a scrub over here.
It's definitely your injury is why you're on the bench, and not a skill. It's not a skill gap thing at all, I promise.
Oh, man, but no, doing good. It's a good day for a good day, boys.
It's a good day.
No hoppy coffee today. We're mixing it up a little bit, but that's okay. But
mostly because we keep forgetting to get more hoppy coffee, so we're having to really raid the bottom and the back of the fridge.
Scarce around here.
What's hoppy coffee?
It's coffee that might have hops in it, maybe some grains.
Okay.
Rhymes with deer most of the time. It's coffee.
Folgers, yeah, air quotes, yeah.
Folgers and air quotes. Yes. That's exactly right.
Oh,
the best
man.
part of waking up.
But yeah, if you can't tell, we got an awesome guest today. And man, I'm so excited about this one because we've been trying to schedule this guy for like our 5th time.
Poor Terrence, man. He's got friends and Derek and I that are just bad at scheduling.
That's what I was going to say. Me and Brian just suck at scheduling, I guess, when it comes to Terrence, because something has come up every single day time.
Oh man.
And but we
not an injury though. Never not an injury.
Finally able to get him on the podcast.
Yes.
And so Terrence, I know you a little bit. Bryant just met you tonight.
Yeah, just tonight, man. Excited about it.
So if you will, tell us who you are, what you do, give us your dad resume, tell us, how many kids you got, what are their ages, and which one's your favorite.
Yeah, oh man. Not that part.
Fine, don't answer the question. That's fine. Just be that guest. It's fine.
No, Terence Arrington, Alpha Realty is the broker I work for. I am in real estate. I should say that.
Yeah.
I've been in real estate for 4 years. It's been great. It's been fun. I'm a dad of 2 kiddos. My oldest son, Jack, he's 5. And my youngest, my daughter, Nova, and she's 3. There's talk about more kids. Me and my wife are having that, like, okay, now.
Get it.
Do we keep going or do we stop or what? So that's kind of in conversation, I'll say that. But
gonna have to go to zone if you get outnumbered, pal.
I know, man. I keep hearing about this. There's that Jim Gaffigan skit.
Yeah.
When he's like, once you have the third, it's like you're swimming and drowning, and then someone hands you a baby. Like, I think about that
more thing.
often.
Yeah.
Like, okay, do I want to drown?
Yeah.
Holding a child, like, it's not even a thing. But no, I just think, man, family is like one of the greatest gifts.
Absolutely.
Kids are a huge gift, and so I think it'd be cool to have more and have a big old family and big Christmases and Thanksgiving.
Love it.
Yeah. So are you guys on the same page with more kids? Or are you actively negotiating?
Yeah, I mean, there's really not negotiating.
I get
Like
it.
my wife's like, look, I'm not getting younger, so
I feel
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
That's basically what my wife told me too.
I was going to say, he's had this conversation recently.
yes. And our job is easy when it comes to that.
Right,
So there's not much
right.
that we need to really
For sure.
that we can't say really
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
it comes to it. So yeah, I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna
Well,
happen.
good.
That's awesome.
That's
man. We're glad
exciting,
you're
man.
here.
Thank you.
Yeah, very glad you're
It's
here.
gonna be fun.
So we do a handful of things every week, and we always start with, other than that obnoxious introduction, we start with Dad Hack of the Week. Or not even Dad Hack of the Week. We just start with that. So we do a Dad Hack, and tell us, I mean, we're not going to put you on the spot first, just because, excuse me, I said Dad Hack. We're actually doing tantrums, aren't we?
Yeah. It's okay, guys. It's Brian's first episode.
Man.
Brian's
Guys,
first
we
episode.
talked about this ahead of time. It's been a long day, folks, and I keep saying Dad Hack, and I mean tantrum. Apologies, Derek. That's on me. What kind of tantrums have we had this week,
Yeah.
boys? Anything stand out to you?
Tantrums.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll go first. Let you guys think about yours a little bit. Because, I mean, there's a few tantrums that I've had this week. But one thing that I really made me think about this week, and you guys kind of already, or at least Terrence has already hit on it, is the spouse and talking about, how important they are in the relationship.
For sure.
And especially when it comes to like tantrums or disciplining your kids and making sure you're on the same page with your spouse.
Preach. dude.
Especially if you're like injured like me, because it's like you
Yep.
don't really think about this till it happens, and you can't just hop up real quick and go talk to your kid or go discipline or whatever needs to happen there. But whenever they do something and then you're kind of stuck there, it takes you a long time to get to them.
Yeah.
Being on the same page with your spouse and making sure you guys are doing the same things, whether it's like just simply telling them like, hey, no, don't do that, or going over there and talking to them, be like, hey, this is why we don't do that. Go say you're sorry, or if it is like picking them up, putting them in timeout, having to go do all that. So that's not really my tantrum, but my input on tantrum this week, because
Sure.
I've felt so bad for my wife these past few weeks and not being able to really help her out much. I mean, I can only do so much, and
Sure.
she's a champ, man, and she's doing all she can, and
Testament to the women we married, man.
yeah, and it's doing an awesome job. So
awesome.
so thank you, Allie, for being a phenomenal wife.
Yeah, no joke.
But yeah, that's my tantrum-ish this week.
Nice.
What about you? What do you got?
Have you dealt with any tantrums with your kids at all this week, or anything stand out to you? I don't want to put you on the spot right now, but just be thinking about it.
Good thinking, yeah.
So I actually thought that I would give an update on Elsie's elbow. So
Oh yeah. Shoot, I forgot about that.
I'll give the Cliff Notes version. I'm walking Elsie out of daycare. I've got her by the hand, and we step down off the curb, and we're in the crosswalk, and she decides she doesn't want to be holding my hand anymore, and just drops to the floor, but I've still got her hand. And so she actually dislocates her elbow and does something called nursemaid's elbow, or suffers from something called nursemaid's elbow, where it literally popped out of the socket. So we spent, that night dealing with urgent care and getting it all fixed. But the docs immediately pop, snack, crackle, pop, wiggled around in there and put it all back together. And it was like it never happened. And it's still a week and a half, almost 2 weeks later, like it never even happened.
Really?
She's fine holding the hand. She's fine. She's actually, again, knock on wood, because inevitably she's going to freak out again when we're trying to cross the street or something. But she started reaching for hands when we're about to it's like, careful.
Right.
She's started reaching for my hand.
Unscarred.
It's like, careful. I'm just going to pick you up. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to put you on my shoulder. I'm just scared to death to pop her little shoulder, her little elbow out again. So, like it never even happened.
Yeah, has she pulled the carpet out from underneath you again, where she just drops off?
God, no, and I can tell you right now that I am still a little gun shy about walking across the street holding her hand.
I would be too.
I just pick her up.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you're not even 2 yet. I can still pick
there's
you
a
up.
100%
I'm just
chance
gonna
that-
throw you
it's
over
not
my
gonna happen
shoulder.
this way.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw you over my shoulder. We're gonna walk the 15 steps, and I'll set you back down and hold your hand here, because, oh my gosh, that was. Oh, it was. I have never. Of all the things that I've dealt with Elsie, that is the one thing that's made me feel like the worst parent. Is I actually hurt my kid. I mean, obviously not on purpose.
Right.
It was coming from a place of trying to protect her, holding her hand while she crosses the street. didn't change anything. Still felt like a dirtbag. So, but yeah, an update. She acts like it never even happened. So I guess it's not so much a tantrum as it is like I'm just happy my daughter doesn't hate me. So it's a reverse tantrum.
There's still time for that.
Thing.
Still time for that.
Yes.
What about you, Terrence? Do you have anything big or in the last couple of weeks or anything that stands out to you? Totally fine if nothing stood out. I just figured we'd ask.
Actually, I mean, this afternoon, I had called my wife. I wasn't home. I called my wife. They were getting ready to go for a walk outside. It was a nice day today.
Yep.
And let me kind of preface, my daughter, Nova, she is a mommy at heart. Even if she's 3, she's still a mommy, and she knows what she wants. She has a preference. She's a girly girl all the way. Purse, shoes, sandals, hat, glasses. She wants things her way. She wants to wear what she wants to wear.
Sure.
Mommy can't tell her a thing. So anyway, when they went for a walk, it was like 54 degrees. Okay, it's not hot, but it's not cold. But it's like, look, light coat, light jacket.
Sure.
Might be a thing. So I'm listening. You know, me and my wife were talking, and my mom and Nova is like, do I have to wear a jacket today? And Molly's like, yeah. She's like, but I don't want to wear a jacket. And Molly's like, well, you need to wear a jacket. It's like, no, I don't want to wear it. So it just went from like 1 to 10.
Right.
Isn't that hilarious how fast that ramps up for such a small little thing, too?
And I'm on the phone like, are you kidding me, over a jacket? And my wife's like, Terrence, you have no idea how this happens all the time.
Right.
So I wasn't there to experience it, but apparently this is a thing every day. My daughter has a preference of style, what she wants to wear.
Yeah.
It's not what my wife wants for her. It's never really that. It's really all that she wants to wear. And so we're just working through how do we give her, you know, a platform to where she can experience wearing what she wants to wear, but also know that she's only 3. You know, she can't wear a princess dress to Walmart.
Right. Every day.
Every day.
Yep.
Right. That's part of it.
That's only a Friday thing. No, man, that's so funny to hear you say that though, because we're dealing with that right now too. Where Elsie, she's not super particular about her clothes yet, but we're starting to see that where she only wants to wear the pink shoes, or she only wants to wear the green pants or whatever it is, and once she's locked in on it, I mean, she chomps down on it like a police dog and just does not let go. So that's I don't envy that position.
No.
Yep. Liam does the same thing, man. But now he's got to the point where he can take his clothes off. So if he doesn't like something, he'll wear it for like 5 minutes and then he'll strip out butt naked.
And then you look over and there's a naked kid running around.
Come on, man. But luckily he's kind of graduated from the tantrum part of the clothes. And he just runs around naked at this point. You know.
Oh, that's so funny.
But yeah, well the cat's out of the bag. Bryant already let you know what our
jumped the
next
gun,
segment
folks.
was there as far as dad hack.
Dad hack alert! Got it.
So yeah, you probably had a little bit of time to think about your dad hack now. So do you have any good dad hacks for us, or maybe good dad advice that you have or you've heard that you want to share?
I think I do. I'm trying to think through.
Yeah, I'll let
Go ahead while he's
I'll
thinking.
let you think about it because one immediately popped into my head today, and just because my last several few have been based around me being on crutches or partially mobile, right?
Yep.
And so I've talked about my youngest, Brody. He's our wild one right now, and just crazy all over the place. But he's little, short, anyways. And so whenever I get ready, he likes to be around me. And so when I'm fixing my hair, brush my teeth, all this stuff in the bathroom, well, he's getting into stuff, climbing on stuff and whatnot. And so now I'm not as quick as I was, so I can't really turn around and grab him real quick if he's climbing on something. So what I've learned is pick him up, put him in the bathtub, because we have one of those
enclosures, baby.
Yeah, one of the kind of tall bathtubs there, so he can't get out of it. And we put some toys in there for him, and so he just sits in there, plays with his toys. He thinks it's the coolest thing ever because he loves the bathtub. I can get ready somewhat in peace, and then when I'm done, I just pick him up, put him out, and he's out of there.
Perfect.
And so that's my dad hack is utilize the stuff around you. Sometimes.
Nice. I love that, man.
Be creative with it, right?
Might as well, yeah.
But Terrence, were you able to
always helpful? I know.
Think of one?
I have a few. I know that we had mentioned one earlier when we were talking about some things earlier, and I forgot what that thing was.
That's all good. What we can do is we'll just keep going. And frankly, if it comes to you in the middle of this thing, just blurt it out, dude.
Yep.
The structure is loose. I promise. We're very loosey goosey around here, man. It's all good. So, my dad hack this week. I wanted to talk, at least to some extent, a little bit about the importance of leaning on the people in your circle, or like building a community. You know, and I was thinking about like Derek and his leg, or like our us doing the Rotary Club thing, or us doing like, you know, I'm sure like the people that you work with, it's all a bunch of really good folks. We know all the folks that you work with at Alpha, or maybe it's your church group, or maybe it's just building that community of people so that you don't have to go through things by yourself.
Oh my gosh, yes. Preach.
And frankly, and this is not some like huge original thought, because that was literally the catalyst for this podcast, was that we wanted to build a community of dads navigating fatherhood together. Like it's in the intro. But I just wanted to really hit that home, because like when we were playing, you know, Rotary basketball and Derek gets hurt or something, everybody jumps up and, hey man, I'm what can I do? Hey, what do you need? Hey, do you need a ride? How can I help? Or you know, these folks in our Rotary Club, you know, they were the first people to do the like, hey, you've got a new kid, let's put together a food, what's that called? Like a food train.
Meal train.
Meal train, thank you. Let's put together the meal train. And oh man, you've got new kids. Let me tell you this thing that we did when we had new kids, so you can try to employ this when your kid gets there. So it's just having that community of people that you can lean on, and I think that seek out that community so that we can basically work through all of this stuff together and know that we're not doing it alone.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
And actually, so this leads right into. We talked a little bit ahead of time, and we always talk to our guests just kind of to tee up some stories and stuff. I know that you also think that, you know, community and relationships and all of that is very important when it comes to fatherhood. Talk a little bit about like the importance of community to you and your fathering.
Yeah, man, this could be like a full podcast by itself. It's huge. Let's just go back to like human, right?
Yeah.
I feel like humans were made to be amongst other humans. We were made for tribe, for village, for gathering, for family, really, when it comes down to it. And so this Western American culture idea of like you live by yourself and you're one big bedroom and don't talk to anybody, or you work your job and you build this company by yourself and you're on top of this castle, like that's not really human. That's not realistic. Yeah, it's happened, and people have done that, and it's a thing that we're striving for in our culture, but like it always ends up, I feel like people always end up wanting the very basics of like the tribal, the village, the family aspect of life. You know, there's something nourishing about that for all of us. So yeah, as a father, I mean, I learned real quick, like, well, first of all, let me back up too. My dad didn't live with me, so it was just me and my mom. She was a single mom. And my dads were my coaches, really. You know, like I went to school, I had coaches, I had teachers. They were kind of my father figure. I saw my dad, and he was a great guy, but he wasn't there with me in the house, and I didn't see him every single day, and I didn't have someone to really lean on every single day. So like my coaches and my teachers and the men that were in my church, you know, those were my father figures. And so growing up, I leaned on them for guidance on growing up as a young boy into teenage years and all that. I found older people, older friends in high school that I could, be friends with and follow them and watch them. Some were good friends and some were not the best, but I would always find traits or characteristics in people that I thought were neat and cool, and would just follow that and try to lean on that. And so into fatherhood, man, just not having that template growing up, not having a idea or an image of it needs to look like this. I realized, man, I need help with this, and I have a heart to want to do it right, whatever do it right means.
We talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody's answer to that is different, though.
Doing it right,
what's right to you? Because I think that's really the important part. What's right to you? What's right to your family?
But I just don't want to, man. Again, this could be a podcast, but fathers, we carry a lot of weight for our families, and I don't want to hurt my family, hurt my legacy,
Right.
By not doing the best I can, being the best I can. And I feel like for anything to be the best you can be, you need to lean on someone. You need people around you that can hold you up, hold you accountable, love on you. You can love on them. You guys grow as a tribe, right?
Sure.
And you can be better men and better fathers, better husbands, all of it. So
I listened to was listening to some podcast, and it was talking about like surrounding yourself with sharp people, surrounding yourself with smart people, because if you surround yourself with dummies, you're going to be a dummy.
Yep.
But if you surround yourself with people that push you, and you surround yourself with people that are willing to give advice or have done it before, and maybe are able to fill a gap for you, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
So
and like you think about like the villages back in the day, right? Like way back in the day when there were villages and people, there were several mothers, several children, several fathers, and I feel like everyone leaned on each other back then. Even motherhood, like I know there's lots of stay-at-home moms that probably struggle with this. But
Sure.
They're home alone
Yeah.
with kids all day, with 2, 3, 4 kids.
oh my gosh,
That is hard for any person.
Real hard. Yeah.
I don't know if it was intended for that. I don't know if this was structured. I don't think Prime Life was structured for that. I think Prime Life looks like, hey, tribal village, you have each other, you have several mothers, you have several people to lean on, and we work together to build something bigger than us. And everyone benefits from it, but you're not by yourself in a big mansion with 4 or 5 kids trying to figure it out.
yeah,
Right?
for sure,
Right?
man.
Feeling lonely, So again, I'm not saying that America needs to shut down and we need to go back to living in fields and all that. I'm not saying that. But there's something to, partnering with people, having people by you that sharpen you, hold you accountable, love on you, are there for you.
Yeah. Build that community.
Absolutely.
Right?
For sure. What about so I'm trying to think, like, speaking on relationships, what about like the relationship between husband and wife, or the father in a marriage? Do you have any thoughts there, or anything that kind of stand out to you?
Oh man, yeah, it's huge, man. Again, back to family. We all want it. So you mean like the fatherhood when it comes to marriage? Or
Yeah. Just like in general, like the relationship between man and wife, and the father's role in the marriage, both whether that's paternally or as a spouse.
Yeah.
You mentioned that in your notes, and so I definitely that stood out to me as something that I thought was important. So I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah. Again, going back to just growing up, I saw lots of broken homes. Most of them didn't have fathers.
It's tough.
And I saw the same patterns of issues with those homes as well. Usually there is a void, there is a lack. And I'll be the first to say, mothers, single moms, they're amazing. They're like superheroes. They can do a lot.
Yeah,
they can do a lot, but they can't be a father.
Yeah.
And there's something that we bring as men to our families that just can't be replaced. It just can't, and it just adds so much goodness to a home if it's a healthy father.
Sure.
That is doing their best. But man, when the father is trying, I feel like it really just brings everything together and makes it whole.
Cool.
I'm not going to say it makes it. It just makes it whole. It just makes it whole, and there's no void. And I feel like even for like the kids' sake, like the kids can go to mom for certain things, can go to dad for certain things.
Yep.
And there's balance there, versus like my mom being a single mother. Like there's some things she just couldn't help me with, you know. And I needed a rough football coach to smack me across the head and yoke me up, by the shoulder pads and be like, get yourself together.
Yeah.
I needed that. And so I think it just brings balance. It brings wholeness to families.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, you've hit on it here several times as you've been talking here. So, and that's one thing that really stood out to me whenever we grabbed lunch a while back was just your upbringing. I know, like you started, I believe it was New York, moved down to Florida.
I gotta interject real quick. He asked us about this hat, if it was going to offend anybody. I told him only me, and that I almost went back upstairs and got my Cardinals hat, but I guess we'll let it slide.
Let it slide. It's early in the season.
Sorry to interject.
But right. Gosh. It's no way to treat a guest.
I know. I know.
But
Go Birds.
but yeah, Terrence, tell us, what was your upbringing like? Just kind of start like, where you started and how you ended up here, and then, how that's, not really changed how you view fatherhood, but how you are as a father, and how how you're raising your kids.
Yeah. Big question. I'll try to keep it short and sweet, though. But yeah, I was born and raised up in Long Island, New York. I was home for about 17 years of my life.
Wow.
And it was awesome. Great food. I love New York. I love the food. I love the culture. New York is a melting pot. So
Yeah.
I had friends from everywhere, dude. And they were from everywhere. Like friends from Korea, friends from
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Okay.
Jewish friends, East Indian friends, just different cultures. And we would play sports together. We would hang out at each other's homes. When I would go to their house, I would eat their food, which was amazing.
Yeah, dude.
And it was just like
Awesome.
It was rich, man. It was awesome. And so did that for again almost 17 years. Then moved to Florida. Finished high school in Florida. Lived in Orlando area. Was there for a couple of years. Finished high school, and then my family moved to Nixon, Missouri. So from New York.
That's a culture change. Yeah.
Culture shock, baby. Culture
Nixon,
shock.
Missouri.
I love that the New York guy says Missouri,
Right,
by the way.
right, yeah.
That just cracks me up.
I've been here long enough.
God, that's hilarious.
Sworn off.
But yeah, major culture shock. I'll say that. But yeah, growing up, it was just me and mom, and when I went to Florida, actually, I stayed with my aunt and uncle,
Right.
and my cousins, and I moved here with them as well. And so I had my uncle in the house, but growing up with my mom, it was just me and her. So a good chunk of my life was just with mom. And in those years, again, my fathers were my coaches, were the men around me in my circle. Dad was there. He did a great job. He was there for birthdays, holidays.
Good.
I'd see him, over the weekends, different things like that. But no, I mean, there was still, like I said, there was still a void in the home. And like normal days were, I was home. I mean, I would go to school, I would play sport, practice, and I'd come home. And my mom, again, superhero. She worked 2 jobs, a morning job, a evening job, and would make sure that food was on the table, or at least in the fridge for me to eat when I came home.
That's awesome.
And so she really worked hard to give me all that I needed to build a platform for me to have a better future. But with all that said, too, like there were times where she'd be like, "Look, here's the groceries. I gotta go.
Yeah.
But I trust that you'll figure it out." And I did. I mean, I learned how to cook by myself.
I was going to say, you'll grow up
Clean by
quick when you
myself,
have those
real
situations,
quick.
right?
Yeah, real quick. And that, back then it was a little scary when you're young and you're like, okay, like I don't really know what I'm doing. But man, there's some gold about that too, like having the ability to be responsible enough to do things on your own. Like that versus having like a helicopter parent. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like there's gold over here. It's scary, it's risky.
Yeah.
But there's gold that I've gained from that at an early age to be like, oh, I can do this.
Sure.
I'm confident enough to do this.
I think that's a testament to you too, though, because
Right.
you put some kids in that situation and it could be an issue.
Oh, right.
Absolutely.
But it obviously it worked for you.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. It was scary, but it worked well. And so, yeah, I mean, that was a part of it, just building self-confidence, having the platform to do things on my own because I had to. And then, having good men around me and, good friends around me. I know I mentioned my coaches several times. I had some great coaches, man. They were just not just coaches, like they would check up on me. They call in,
Cool.
they come pick me up, from home for games or for practices. They would take me out for breakfast. Just those things like that. Like, man,
Good
coaches
people.
coaches are underrated. Like, those guys, good coaches, those guys were just amazing, just incredible men.
That's
so
awesome.
I think that was like one of the first. Those were some of the first men that I watched growing up that were like, man, like I could be like you, or I would want to be like you when I get older. You know what I mean? So, so Florida, Nixie, Missouri, and then just moving here. I got established in college. I went to Evangel. I was there for 5 years. Had some great teachers, met some great friends of mine. Again, my teachers, some of my male teachers were awesome. I had a voice teacher. His name was Michael And he was just one of the greatest guys, man. Just super awesome, super chill, always checking up on me. We'd go out and see movies and hang out. A college teacher hanging out with his students. But yeah, he was just a cool dude. And then I got plugged in with some great churches in the area as well.
So I was thinking about, like, you're talking about coming from New York, you're talking about coming from Florida, and obviously those are both much larger, and you already alluded to more diverse communities than old Springfield or Nixa or Southwest Missouri.
Yes.
Missouri. Sorry, I'll get it right. Tell me about being a person of color in Springfield, or like even moving to Nixa, which is an even smaller community outside of Springfield. Like, what's that like?
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of white folks around here.
Yeah. And, there is, like, if you do your research on the history of this area, there's a lot of history here. And
there's a reason for it, unfortunately.
So
no, it's not good at all. No, it's embarrassing, frankly,
but
as a Springfield guy.
Yeah. When I moved here, it was a culture shock. Just off the bat, just less people. Everything closed at 8 p.m. I'm like, where's the pizza at like 2 a.m. in the morning?
Starving over there.
That's so funny because it's so dead on accurate. That's hysterical.
Golly. And so it was just weird. It was, one mall, like in New York, there's like 10 malls in one city. You know what I mean? Like, you have options. But no,
we used to have two.
Yeah.
Terrence, all right. The other one closed. But we had
now it's a Walmart.
Sketchy. But no, it was a culture shock. That was a given, culture shock. But I met some good people over time and got used to it. I will say I've dealt with more racial issues in this area than I've ever had in my entire life.
Really?
Anywhere else. And from what I found, it's just more of a like ignorance and lack of knowledge, or people were taught something that just wasn't true.
Unfortunately,
I actually had an experience. So back in 2006 to like 2008, I worked at Applebee's in Nixa, and I was a server there. I worked there for a while, and I was there for a while, and there was one lady. And I won't say her name in case she watches this, but she was there. She just didn't like me. She just did not like me. I didn't understand why. And so I was like, okay, like, whatever. Like, I don't care. That's cool with me. And back then, I still was like, okay, like, racism can't be a thing. Like,
Sure,
really?
yeah.
Like, it can't, because, like, that's just, like, movie stuff. That's, like, way outdated. I've never dealt with it before now. Can't be a thing. No, it's a thing. And then there were several times I'd walk in, say hi to her, and she'd just kind of look at me and turn her head and leave.
Wow.
Or just mean. And I'm like, this lady is racist.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, long story short, after like a year and a half of working there, she got used to me and whatever. And one day she said, hey, she's like, I want to talk to you for a moment. I was like, okay, we can go talk. So we went in the corner and we talked. And she's like, well, I was raised to think that people like you were bad people. But, you changed my mind.
That's good.
And I really appreciate you. And she gave me a hug. I was like,
at least she's open to learning.
Yeah, wow.
But it just opened up this thing of like, okay, this is a real thing.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm seeing it's not based on anything tangible or true. It's just based on what people are assuming is truth.
Lack of knowledge, lack of exposure, right?
Like ignorance.
Ignorance.
It's just ignorance. So, it's interesting in Springfield to be a man of color.
Oh, no, go ahead. It's just, I wondered through the lens of parenting, too.
Yeah.
Because, bringing up kids in this community.
It's different, yeah. I feel like...
I certainly think it's better now than it has been in decades and millennia, or decades and centuries past, but...
Yeah, I think going back to just, again, lack of knowledge, assumptions, being ignorant, I think people have this image of, oh, he's a black male, so he must be aggressive, he must be this,
I'm hearing you speak right now, pal. You don't sound aggressive.
Right. But again, like when you're taught something, it's like you're molded to see things a certain way. And until you experience it in full, and really that this goes back to like relationships are so huge. Like I feel like the issue of race is broken when you get to sit with someone that's different from you, which I've done, and you have a meal with them and you talk about life with them, and you realize, man, we're really all the same. Like, we really want the same things.
Yeah.
We want family, we want love, we want good food, we want laughter, we want peace, we want to have a good life. Like, we just want the same things. But these movies and images and poor mindsets and whatever the case, whatever has toxified people's minds is getting in the way of that.
Absolutely.
And so, it's different. You know, I feel like I have to be careful sometimes where I go. I have to watch my back. I have to just play the part, as you can say, sometimes, just to show people, hey, I'm trustworthy. Hey, I'm not what you think I am.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm a good guy. It feels unfair, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I
yeah,
have
of course.
to even think about that.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
before, like in other cities, New York and Florida, like, it wasn't a thing. It was just
Really? Okay.
I was more of the norm.
Yeah.
You know, and so it wasn't even a thought. So, but I'm thankful for the experiences of living in a place like this, living in New York, living in Florida, because now I have a full grasp of, like, okay, like, I've lived in different areas.
What
I've
all's out
lived-
there.
Yeah, and I see things just a different way. And I just encourage people, like, get out your comfort zone. Like, really go
Yes.
out and see things, and you'll see that, like, people, like, we're not that different from each other. And you can learn a lot from each other too, man. Like, me and my wife, I'm black, she's white. You know,
Yeah, sure.
single family home. She had mom, dad, brother. She was homeschooled. I went to a huge public school. Bipolar, not bipolar, polar opposites.
There
Sorry.
you go.
Polar
Yeah, I knew what you
opposites.
meant. I
Not
knew what you
bipolar.
meant. I knew what you meant.
Just polar opposites here, and we're learning so much as a couple as we build our family, and our kids get the best of both worlds. Like, they get
Oh yeah.
they get the best of it, you know, and we're building something from the best that we each had. And so, you get to learn so much from each other if you just get out of your comfort zone.
Well, like you
things
said,
out.
man, just go grab a meal with somebody that's totally different than you, and just see what they're like. I guarantee you, the perception that you have in your head is so different than what they're really like.
It will
right?
change. Absolutely.
Like, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's so true. So
Yeah.
good stuff there, man.
Yeah,
Good
that's.
stuff.
I mean,
Thank you.
we talked about it literally last week, I think, on the podcast when we had Nathan on. That,
yeah.
That,
Yeah, we did.
like, Nathan and his wife sent their kids to a daycare that we now send our daughter to. And one of the main reasons they sent their kids there was because it was one of the more diverse populations of daycares in school and in town, excuse me. And that it wasn't just racially different. There were folks with disabilities there. There are folks from different financial situations there, and it kind of runs the full spectrum. And so that was one of the reasons why I was so excited to get Elsie there, because she's going to be around a certain type of folks when she's being raised, and because as I alluded to already, there's a lot of white folk in Springfield. And so trying to make sure and introduce her to, there are people that don't look like you. There are people that don't have the same abilities as you. There are people that are in different situations than you. And that doesn't make anybody less than. It just makes it different.
Absolutely.
And so let's go make friends with folks. Let's go learn how to be around people that are different than us, and understand that that's just different, not worse or better or anything.
Absolutely.
different doesn't mean bad.
That was something that Liv and I were super, super passionate about, to make sure, because we're a member at a country club. So she's going to do country club stuff as a kid, but also I want her to be around folks that are not in that position, whether it's financially or otherwise.
Absolutely.
It was just one of those things where we were super specific about doing
Absolutely.
that. So
Yeah.
Good.
When I was a kid, actually, I'll take it back. Like, when I was a younger kid, like a baby until about 3 or 4, me and my mom lived with grandma, grandpa, my great-grandmother, aunts, uncles, one big house. I mean, huge house.
Oh,
wow.
My grandparents adopted, so they were doing like foster care adoption with older adults, though. It wasn't kids. It was older adults that didn't have their families anymore. So think like someone who's in their 70s who might have some mentally ill issues.
okay,
Oh,
got
okay.
it.
But their family has passed on.
Kind of almost hospice care type stuff. Sure.
Yeah, we had like 3 or 4 people like that. And so some
Man,
were,
what an exposure thing
yeah,
too.
some were, stable. Some were mentally ill. Some had a hard time speaking, hard time walking, whatever the case was. But as a kid, I was around that. And so growing up, like in school, kids would make fun of people that were handicapped or speech issues or whatever the case was. And me, I was like, what are you laughing at? Like, that's just normal.
That's just a person.
And so back to your point, like putting your kids around that or just around different people, like it just gives them that exposure. Like, hey, there's people that are different from me, and I can learn from them, and they're not lesser than. Like, I shouldn't make fun of them or treat them like lesser than, but I can learn from them and gain some great characteristics, friendships, all of it.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
well, I mean, I don't remember exactly, but I have a pretty distinct memory of seeing the first person I ever met in a chair, and that it was just not somebody that I had been around, somebody that couldn't walk. They were in a power chair, and I had never been around somebody that couldn't walk, and so it was such an eye-opening experience that fast forward to when we were in college, we had a guy in our fraternity house that was in a power chair, and he was just one of the guys. Like, it didn't make him any different than anybody else. He was just one of the guys that we hung out with, and so it was just it was interesting that, like, I can distinctly remember being a little kid going, oh, well, he's different than me, and I don't understand it, and so it just a guy that we ran around with. So it's interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So we spent plenty of time talking about serious stuff. We always know that folks have fun stories too, because at the end of the day, parenting can be serious, parenting can be hard, parenting can be challenging, but we also know that there's all kinds of funny stuff that comes out of it too. Do you have any funny stories about with your kids or maybe with your spouse or anything that stands out to you? There's a couple of things on this list that full disclosure, little inside baseball here. We send everybody a questionnaire before we do this podcast, and there were some funny looking stories on this paper over here.
That and when we was doing our break there, Terrence is like going over this list of stuff, and he's like naming off some of them and just giggling as he's naming them off. So I'm like, I know some of these are good.
I love it. Do you have any funny stories or any stories specifically that you think would be fun to tell?
I have a few. So my oldest, Jack, he's just getting out of this too, which I'm so thankful for. But there for a while, he was in the poop holding stage, right? Like I don't want to go poop.
Got it. Okay.
It like scares me to go poop. That whole thing.
You're not the first dad that we've had on
And
to say
I'm
that,
like,
man.
dude,
That's wild.
You're sitting here. So what's funny about it is like we're about to eat dinner, and he knows, okay, when I eat food, it's going to push things down. And you can see him at his chair, at the table, and he's like doing this whole thing, like moving around, just uncomfortable. Or he's eating and he's like bending over. And I'm like, hey, buddy, do you have to go poop? No. I'm just dancing.
Just
doing the food dance, Dad.
I'm like, bud, if you go poop, I'll give you something, a treat after you. Oh, really? Okay, I got to go poop. So, so it's just one of those things. And so we've had some long talks like, buddy, just don't hold it. Just get it out. You're going to feel so much better. But I'm trying to be patient with him and give him some time. But
dude, that's hilarious.
I hold my poop dance is just, it was a common thing for a while. But
I love that it's just dancing.
Yeah.
I love that that's an original response from him too. Yeah, I'm just dancing. Yeah. Just
don't mind me.
Just getting comfortable. Don't worry about me.
I'm so happy to eat this food. Just makes me dance.
A little dance.
Ridiculous.
Oh, so good.
Some awesome. Other ones. Let me think.
What about like getting put in timeout? Yeah. Anything like that stand out to you?
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and we don't do timeout too often, but timeout is a thing. This happened, I would say, maybe a year and a half ago with Jack. I got in trouble, actually. So me and my wife were actually talking about something, and I realized I was wrong, so I apologized. And Jack said, Dad, go to timeout. And I said, okay. And so I kind of,
Did you do it?
I acted with him. I said, okay. So I went in timeout. He just watched me with this grin, this like, yes, like, I have the power. Right. What are you in timeout? So I went in timeout just to make him, make him feel like he was doing something.
Yeah.
And then I was in timeout, and so he did what I do to him. So he came up to me after about a minute or two. He got down on one knee. He said, come here. He said, he looked at me. He was like, so do you know why you're in timeout?
Yes.
I said, yes, because I did, whatever I did at the time. He's like, good, don't do it again. I said, okay. And he laughed, and I'm sitting there like, my son.
Oh my God.
Just put
So
me
this
in
is how that
timeout.
feels.
And gave me
Okay.
the talk, What is going on here?
Oh, that's awesome. At least they're picking up on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh
Yeah.
man, it's funny that you say that because that made me think. My oldest Liam, he's talking now, and we make him, like I said earlier, say sorry when if he says something mean or not kind or does something not kind or something.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Allie, we have a very sarcastic relationship. We're both sarcastic people. That's just how we are. So we'll do something and one of us will act like we're offended or hurt or something like that. Well, Liam's picked up on that, and so I'll say something to Allie and she'll just be like, "Oh," like that, and Liam will be like, "Dad, say you're sorry. That was not kind." I was like,
Get it, son.
Yes, sir.
Get it, son.
Mama, I'm very sorry. So it's just funny, but it's working. Like what you're doing is working, right?
Yes.
And your timeout story, man, it made me think of another one. So, Liam, he's timeout kills him. Like this kid hates timeout. So it's like when he has to go timeout, it's the end of the world, right? Well, Brody, he's about a year and a half now, and so he's seen Liam like going timeout and all this stuff, and Brody, he's just an ornery little kid. Like he does like just little stuff that he knows he shouldn't, And so he does it so much, like he'll dig in the plants or make a mess or do something like that. And as he's doing it, he's like, "No, no, no," and he wags the finger. Like that's one of the few words he can say right now. He's like, "No, no, no."
My God.
And I can't even remember what it was that he was doing the other day. He was doing something. And me and Allie both looked at each other. We're like, "Oh my gosh, he's really doing this. We got to get on to him." And he's doing the no, no, no. And we're like, "Brody." And he looks at us and just walks over to the corner where timeout is and sits down by himself. And he just sits there by himself. And then we walk over there and we're like, "All right, Brody, did you learn your lesson?" And he can't say anything. So he just like looks at us like, "Yeah." And he gets up and walks away. And the dude put himself in timeout. And I'm like, good for you. I mean, like, it just kills me. It's like, you shouldn't do that.
Right,
you still do it, but
right.
at least you punish yourself.
I just think it's funny that like timeout to him is like whatever.
Oh,
And
right.
to Liam, it's like no.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Well, it's just a thing that I've seen my brother do. It's not a
Right,
punishment.
right.
I don't know what a punishment
Right,
really
yeah.
means.
Right,
I'm just
yeah.
seeing my brother do this thing.
Oh,
That's so
yeah,
funny.
that's the thing with kids, though. It's like different things work for different kids. Because, like I said, like, we've tried other things with Liam and it just doesn't work. But timeout, oh, man, like I said, end of the world.
Yeah.
Brody, he'll just go sit over there and play by himself, like in timeout.
So funny.
So we got to figure out something else besides timeout to work on Brody. But
I think you hit the nail on the head, though, because every kid is different.
Yeah.
We've been doing this podcast. You're going to be episode 24.
Cool.
23, 24,
23 or
like that,
24, something like that. And so we've heard a lot of dads talk about a lot of stuff, and frankly, I have ripped a lot of stuff off of a lot of dads. This is selfishly, Derek and I use this as like a how-to for dadding. Hopefully, everybody out there on the internet's doing the same. But one of the things that I have really liked that several of our decent dads or our guests have done was the like, okay, we're going to take your hands. And we're going to take your hand. Well, you're freaking out. Your kid's having, big emotions or whatever it is.
Yep.
Blow up, whatever it is. All right, we're going to take your hands and we're going to, okay, deep breath. And then, and he blows in his kids' faces and they think it's hilarious. And so then everybody's giggling and it's like a fun thing. And so it actually works.
Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't work with Elsie.
No, you tried it?
Just does not work. Just
It makes her even more
makes
upset.
it worse
Oh, no.
because it goes
I'm
from
sorry.
I'm pissed off about this thing that's over here to now I'm pissed off at Dad because Dad's got my hands. Let me go.
Yeah.
Let me go.
What are you
Get
doing?
off
Quit
of me.
blowing in my face.
Exactly. Quit it. So in
Oh,
other words,
man.
Derek's screwing up my child
Fail.
rearing here. Derek's
Backfire.
messing up my child rearing. So it is funny though that these things work for different kids, because I've also been thinking about like timeout or how that's going to work, because Elsie's an only child, and it's likely that she will remain an only child. And so this poor kid's going to be a spoiled frickin' brat. And so I got to figure out how in the world that we're actually going to discipline her. I don't know how timeout's going to work with her. And I'm going to, and it's mostly just going to be on my wife and I to like actually nut up and do it. Because we're both, I mean, at this point, Our daughter's more spoiled than she is not,
no.
and it's nobody's fault but our own, frankly, and we know that, and so we're working on it, and we're trying to be hard nosed on a couple of things. We struggled with sleep with Elsie for a really long time, and so it was hard to be hard nosed about. Listen, you're going to have to just cry it out.
Right.
We did the Ferber method thing where it's like 15 minutes at a time, and she's just screaming her brains out. We got hard nosed about that. We're going to have to figure out how to be hard-nosed about it something else because, God bless, man, it's like a problem.
We have to, or we don't have to anymore because Liam's got the routine down now, but when we first started doing timeout with him, like, we had to hold his little legs down so that he would sit there.
So what do? You just walk it like this is the timeout
So we have like a little corner in our house, and, obviously no toys, no nothing there, and so we set him down on the floor, and like I said, we had to, like, hold his little thighs there so he wouldn't, like, get up and try to run away or anything, and then we count to 30, and by the time you get to 30, he's calmed down. And then, like Terrence was talking about earlier, it's like, hey, do you know why you were in timeout? Okay, this is why you're in timeout. We're not going to do it again. If we do it again, you're going to have to go back to timeout. Right. I think with kids, explaining to them is such a huge deal too. Like, you can't just punish them because they did something wrong. It's like, no, you have to punish them and then explain to them this is why you're sitting in timeout.
Yeah, it's not
because
just
of this
guessing game where you figure out why you're in trouble.
Right, because they're learning. I mean, they're 3 years old, 1 year old. They don't know. They're they're learning as they go.
They're learning how to regulate all of it: feelings, emotions, rules, guidelines. All of it. So having conversations is huge. We're big about having conversations, and we've gotten lots of compliments from parents like, "Oh, like your kids are good talkers. Like your kids are good at like." Expressing how they feel, like, well, we have conversations with them, things like that. Back to like ways to discipline. One thing that we've been doing that we try to do as much as we can. It was from a book. I think the book is called Intentional Parenting. I'll find out and I'll tell.
Nice. Yeah. I want to know about that.
It's about basically like you give your kid like the consequence of their actions. So hey, like if you eat your candy that I've told you not to eat, then you lose the power to watch your favorite show this evening.
Got it. Sure.
So I'm not going to say anything else to you.
You tell them ahead of time?
Yeah. And then you make it clear what the expectation is. You give them the power. Hey, you can choose. You can eat the candy if you want. You cannot eat the candy and watch your show. But either way, like there are consequences to whatever
like
you
that's
choose
good.
to do.
Yeah.
And so if they choose to eat the candy, well, now you can't do what you wanted to do. And that's not, I'm not mad at you. I'm not going to yell at you or whatever, but you just can't do that thing that you wanted to do. And so just like programming their brains just to get into like, man, I can make some choices. Well, and my choices have
power of choice, man.
Well, like you said, consequences, right? Yeah, that's the big key word there. So
we're still figuring out choice and like with Elsie, because Elsie's not the youngest kid in like our immediate circle of friends or anything, but she is one of the younger ones, and so I'm leaning on a lot of our friends who's like, what in the hell did you guys do in this situation? And so like before Elsie, she's got sentences. But they're mostly just parroted sentences. She can sing the majority of several nursery rhyme songs, but it's all gobbledygook in her head. I don't think it actually means anything. She can just sound out and form the words in her mouth. So I'm trying to figure out how to like try to introduce discipline or introduce like consequence. We're working on choice. Do you want to wear the red pants or the blue pants kind of stuff? Like I know that's at this point that's about as advanced as we get in this kind of stuff. But like trying to figure out how to have those conversations when they're pretty much one-sided. You know what I mean? Like it's one-sided. She doesn't speak English yet, dude. Like she's got some words, but it's not English yet. It's just like a handful of words. It's basically goo goo gaga, and then second language is English. So trying to figure out how to instill discipline in a kid that doesn't speak your language has been an interesting task for us in our house. What did you guys do before I guess when Jack was younger in that like 1 to 2 age range? What were you guys doing? Was it mostly just
patience?
Preach.
That's just it. Like I mean, Jack has always been a really expressive person. When he was happy, he was happy. When he was sad, he was sad. When he was mad, like you would know. So he's always been that type of person, and which I appreciate about him. But yeah, it was just when he was like when we were trying to sleep train him, it was hard and lots of patience and working with him. Yeah, patience. That's my answer. That's it.
Yeah, I like that thought process though, because it's at the end of the day, that's what it is. Like I have learned more patience in the last 2 years. Since we don't count kid months anymore, I don't actually know how old my daughter is. 22 months, whatever. I have learned more patience in the last almost 2 years than I have ever had in my almost 5 years of life. Like I didn't know that I was as patient as apparently I am. So yeah, that's a big thing. Well, were there any other, like, to get back to it, because I do want to give you time, were there any other stories or anything that stood out to you that you thought were funny or that you wanted to tell?
Man, every day something happens.
Right.
I will say, let me see, I'm trying to think of ones that were appropriate, things that are appropriate.
Hey, as inappropriate as you want to be, pal, I promise it's been worse.
I'll just say that we are breastfeeding parents, so we didn't do formula, any of that. So my wife is constantly at call to my kids, or has been. I'll say that. Sure. Not anymore because they're all older. But my youngest gets it every now and then because she's still in that age gap. Yeah. And so basically, both of my kids though, when they were in like the really like breastfeeding stages, they were younger, they were just savages with just like looking at me while it's happening. And just
direct
making
eye
you
contact.
feel like you're just like secondary. Like,
yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of less than,
like just like, and I'm like watching TV, and my wife is over here with our child watching TV, and I just feel these eyes like looking at me, and I'm like, what's that burning sensation? And I turn my head, and it's my child just like,
yeah.
Like, and I'm like, can you have some dignity?
You're right. Come on, man. Look the other way. Like, yeah.
Like, I get it, but like, come on, man.
Oh, that's so funny though.
It hurts.
Because that is like a little bit of that dad guilt, right? Where it's like, mom's the only one that can give this to you, pal. Yeah. Like, I can't be involved here. Did your kid ever try to latch on to you when you had your shirt off?
Yeah, it hurts, bro.
Yeah.
Very badly.
My poor girl got she got a mouthful of hair.
Like, boy, that was a one and done deal for Elsie, wasn't it?
This is it's eyebrows to toe knuckles, dude. It's just covered. And my poor kid got a mouthful of hair when she tried that. So.
Poor Elsie. Oh man, my kids, they never tried it with me, but they would just poke. And I'm just like, dude, that's awkward too. You're like, dude, don't do that. Like, no. Like, oh man, do they still do it to this day too? And I'm like, so yeah, like I just wear a shirt around the house all the time now because of that. I'm like,
oh god, Elsie's into patting. She'll give you a hug and then she'll pat you on the back. And so it is kind of fun when she comes walking up and I've got no shirt on. I've got a little bit of a belly, I'll be honest. And she comes up, she just goes pop, 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 pats me on the tummy, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess I need to go back to the gym. Good grief.
If that's not motivation.
God bless, man. It's like, I've been going to the gym. Give me a break. It's the food, all right? I know the food is the problem.
Can't even blame pregnancy on that. Like,
no, it's sympathy weight, Derek. It's sympathy weight. That's what they call it.
All right, so the whole breastfeeding thing, it just, oh man, teed up the story for me that, like, I don't know, it's the funniest thing ever. So we've weaned our kids off breastfeeding, or our youngest one, Brody, and we had some people over, some friends over, and one of them, they'd recently had a little one as well too. Same thing like you're talking about, and what my wife did, breastfeed them. Well, with a newborn, time comes when the time comes. Like, you got to do it right then, right?
Got to do what you got to do.
They're not patient, right? And so, our friend, she starts feeding her child, just like any good mom would do. Well, Brody, he's out there just walking around, and he notices what's going on. He notices that this other little baby's getting fed, and he's just like,
"What's over there?"
Like, belly popped out, just like confused look. He's like, "What do you?" Why are you getting food? I'm not getting food. And then Allie's sitting over here. Then he like looks at mom and he's like, Mom, what's going on? Why are you leaving me out here? Don't leave me hanging. And I was just like everybody there is just like, we all like realized it at the same time. We're like, this is just hilarious. Like he was so confused the whole time. And I felt so bad for the mom, because she's just sitting there and she's like, what am I supposed to do? It's like, Brody, stop, man.
Staring, dude.
That's dude,
it was too funny.
Oh my God.
That's perfect though, because I mean, what a great lead in to everybody's favorite part of our episode.
What part?
It's Dad Joke of the Week.
It is.
So
It is.
Terrence didn't know that was coming, and it makes me very happy. So Terrence, we do ask everybody for a dad joke, and you alluded to the fact that you didn't have one ahead of time. However, you told us a little bit about your thoughts on dad jokes.
Yes.
However, I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'm going to hand you my phone because I have 2 dad jokes, and you're going to get to read one of them.
Okay, let's do it.
They're good ones.
So tell me your thoughts on you started to talk about dad jokes during the break. So
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not really a dad joke kind of guy, but I do this one thing every time that we go out to eat at a restaurant. My wife looks at me, rolls her eyes back every time I do it.
peak dad, baby.
But yeah, I enjoy my food. We eat at great restaurants. I usually clean my plate like a good old boy.
Like a good old boy.
At the end of the meal, the waitress comes over or waiter comes over, asks how everything was, and I do my classic dad joke. I didn't really like that meal.
As I hand you the clean plate. Yeah, this completely, I licked it clean, but here's the plate. I didn't really like it. I hated it.
And I would say 70% of the time it goes over like I planned. They laugh at me. Oh, yeah, whatever. But there's been times when they've taken my words seriously, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Was something, oh my goodness, was something wrong? And now it's awkward because now I'm like,
Right.
oh, I was just kidding.
No, man, I'm
and
just
then they
joking
look at
around.
me like, why would you kid like that?
Okay, why would you say that? Yeah.
I'm like, no. And then my wife's looking at me like, you see, you should stop doing that when we go out to eat. So that's my classic. It never gets old to me. I
love it.
But
Oh,
Here,
dude,
just
that's great.
just read that little bit that I've highlighted there for you, because
hey, Derek, what's blue and not very heavy?
hey Derek, what is blue and not very heavy?
I don't know.
Light blue.
Well done, boys. I was like,
Yeah, see, I thought that was freaking
well
hilarious.
done.
And I was like, I'm gonna give that one to Terrence because I think that joke's
man.
freaking hilarious.
That is. Classic dad joke, too. It's like, it's so simple, so corny. Well done, Terrence.
Nice work. Hey, what did the blanket say when it fell off the bed?
No, I'm thinking too hard.
Oh, sheet.
Oh, she. Why'd I laugh at that? God,
Why are the dumb ones the funniest, right? Like, why are the really, really stupid ones the funniest?
for real.
Oh, my
What about you,
gosh.
DC? You got a good dad joke this week?
Dude, I had a solid one, and I came prepared. But then I was looking at some of our comments from some of our listeners.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah. We got to do this. That's
on
right.
the way over here, and one guy shared a joke on one of our YouTube shorts.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to share that with the guys. Like, this is money. So I can't count this one as an original. I got to give a shout out to Kennedy, YouTube name at Blackout6901.
That's right.
So great name.
Thanks,
there.
Kennedy. We love when we get these kind of comments because we like ripping dead people's dad jokes off. It's hilarious.
Here's his joke. Okay, so a construction worker walks into a bar with a slab of asphalt under his arm. He says, "I'll take a beer and one for the road."
Nice. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. See, these
By
are the kind of
Terrence's
jokes
reaction, like that's a dad joke.
that's the kind of dad joke reaction we want
yeah.
right there, pal.
So Kennedy, thanks for sharing.
Nice
buddy.
work, dude.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it,
that.
man.
Appreciate that. Bring it on. And this is our chance to say, hey, y'all got dad jokes in the comments?
That's right.
Keep them coming because we think they're really funny.
Yeah.
We've actually had, we're getting dangerously close.
Yeah.
Dangerously close to 1,000. It's 995. I just checked
man,
it.
just shy of 1,000. So
We're at 995 subscribers. 996 when you subscribe, of course.
Yeah.
We're getting dangerously close to 1,000 subscribers. So thanks everybody
Yep.
for subscribing, liking, sharing, commenting, all the social media jazz. We truly think the comments with the dad jokes and the dad hacks are the best.
Mhm.
I mean,
Absolutely.
it's made running this show, it's made doing this show that much more fun, just to see what kind of input we can get from all over the place. So we really appreciate everybody. So if you feel so inclined to listen to more of our stuff, do all of the liking and sharing and subscribing, so you can get all of that stuff. And I think there's a notification bell somewhere in YouTube that you can press that actually sends you a notification once our new episodes come out Tuesday mornings.
Yep. So keep doing what you do, man. We appreciate it. Share all the stuff, all the good, because that's another thing. I mean, a lot of it is funny, but some of it is useful too.
Absolutely.
I know I've seen some dad hacks here recently that people have shared with us that I'm like, either that's a great idea or that's such a good way to look at it. Like, I love your point of view on that.
It's just a different point of view.
I think you guys should do a book at some point.
A book.
I love this thought process.
A decent dad's book. I'm curious.
I'm into it.
Of hacks, of jokes, of all
Yeah,
of it.
we're gonna have to have somebody write it for us, because he and I are we sell the numbers, we don't do them kind of deal.
We'll steal enough comments.
Exactly.
On here,
But yeah, thanks very much. So man, I just gotta say thank you for being here, man. Way to go, decent dad. Nice work.
Pleasure.
Nice work, big boy.
There it is.
That was a whiff. So unless anybody else has anything else,
I think that's it.
Perfect. Thanks, fellas, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys.
Oh man, that was good. That was good.
Nice work, dude. That was perfect.
Thank you.